Once upon a time, Charon, the son of Erebus and Nyx, lived as a ferryman of Hades, carrying the souls of the deceased who had received funeral rites across the rivers Charon and Styx. To help the souls journey to the underworld, people would place low-value coins on the mouth of the deceased or next to the cremation urn containing their ashes as a viaticum for their passage. In Virgil's epic poem, Aeneid, paying Charon's fee was crucial for one's journey to the underworld. Those who could not pay Charon's fee, and those who had received no funeral rites, wandered the near shores of Styx for 100 years before they were allowed to cross the river. However, there were some mortals, heroes, and demigods who descended to the underworld and returned as living beings, a journey known as catabasis. This journey could result in partial or full immortality. To gain entry to Hades as a living mortal, Aeneas once offered Charon the golden bough. Hercules and Orpheus are other examples of beings who descended to the underworld, then returned with Charon's permission. Archaeologists have also discovered elements of Charon's myth in Greek and Roman funeral practices. This confirmed the belief that low-value coins were placed on the mouth of the deceased or next to the cremation urn, reflecting a belief in Charon's role as the ferryman of the underworld. These details make the myth of Charon come to life and continue to intrigue and entertain people even today. Charon, the legendary ferryman of the Greek underworld, was feared and revered by many. He was known for his fierce, flashing eyes and bluish-gray eyes of keen gaze. Scholars have debated the origin of his name, with some believing it is a euphemism for death, while others suggest it may have been imported from Egypt. In Greek mythology, Charon was responsible for ferrying the souls of the deceased across the river Styx to the underworld. He demanded payment for his services, typically a coin placed in the mouth of the deceased to pay for the journey. Those who could not afford the fee were left to wander the shores of the river for 100 years as restless spirits. Despite his fearsome reputation, there are tales of Charon showing compassion to certain individuals. The famous musician, Orpheus, was allowed to cross the river without payment due to his musical abilities. Charon was often depicted as an angry and irascible being, reflecting the belief that he was not one to be trifled with. Many ancient authors have described his boat as old and decrepit, while others have portrayed him as a grotesque figure with ragged clothing and unkempt hair. The earliest reference to Charon can be found in the fragmentary epic poem Minyas, which dates back to as early as the 6th century BC. While his exact origin remains uncertain, Charon remains a prominent figure in Greek mythology, associated with the afterlife and the journey to the underworld. Once upon a time, there was a legendary figure in Greek mythology known as Charon, the ferryman of the underworld. He was often depicted as a rugged and rough-looking seaman dressed in reddish-brown garb, holding his ferryman's pole in his right hand and using his left hand to assist the newly deceased onto his boat. Hermes, the messenger of the gods, acted as a psychopomp and was often present beside him. In Virgil's Aeneid 6, Charon was requested to transport Aeneas to the underworld. According to classical authors, Charon was considered tough and fierce as he navigated the river with a long pole, while Dante's Divine Comedy portrayed him as having glowing, fiery eyes. Charon was perceived differently in modern times as he was represented as a skeletal figure wearing a cowl similar to the Grim Reaper. It is worth noting that although sharing a similar name, the Etruscan death demon Charon held a different purpose. Charon acted as a guardian, psychopomp, and assistant to death. He had pointed ears and a vulture's beak, and wielded a large hammer to mercilessly pummel the newly deceased. As time passed, Charon's portrayal in artistic representations evolved. He was given a more gentle and refined portrayal in later art. Despite these changes, he remained an iconic figure in Greek mythology, playing a crucial role in escorting souls to the underworld.
Do you want to explore more Greek mythology stories? Who do you want to see featured next? Subscribe and leave a comment below to let me know. I'll see you in the next video.